So
all right, so I mean, we
set.
got everyone. Firstly, I really like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you for taking some time off to be a part of this session. Just to give you an idea of why we intended to create something like this. Of course, I'm not going to take too long, just about a minute. We initially thought we'll do a webinar, but then we said, okay, there's a lot of that happening, so let's do something closed door. Let's really bring in similar minds, people from the industry to discuss something in a closed door environment and come through some content which we can actually then take it out to the community, right? And that way decimate information that's really going to be important and could possibly help other businesses from large companies, medium companies, and small companies. So the idea is to basically give everyone an opportunity to learn from each other. And in that endeavor, this is the third edition. We have a very interesting topic, and I think some really amazing panelists as well, that are participating. The topic, of course, I guess, is all of you already know, is preparing a comeback plan for restaurants, which, in my opinion, I think is going to be one of the most important things for most restaurants, especially considering the mortality rate that we already face as an industry. And of course, to introduce the panelists, we have Bhasin, who's representing Nando's. We have Ramachander Raman, who is representing Cafe Coffee Day. We have Tarak Bhattacharya, who's representing Mad Over Donuts. Vineet Manocha, representing Lite Foods. Chris George, representing QubeHealth. And we have Kapil Malhotra, who's going to be moderating the session. He's taken some time out to prepare the document and create some discussion points. And we really do hope that this discussion is going to be fruitful for us as well as for everyone out there when we do get the information out. Again, thank you everyone for taking the time off your schedules to do this with us, and have a brilliant session.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kapil, over to you.
Thank you very much, George and Vinny, for putting this topic together in the quarantine colloquy of preparing a comeback for restaurants. I think very apt, as you rightly said, and a brilliant panel we have today. And thanks for introducing each of them. It's been wonderful knowing some of you over the past few years, but for those who don't, very quickly, managing director of the founder group. We basically are an advisory and a consulting organization. Food, retail, hospitality, automotive, banking, and a few more industries are the ones that we have been providing our services over the last 2 decades now. These are very interesting times. We're working with a few clients on the comeback, how to reopen, how to get customers in, how to give the customer the confidence. What is going to be the business model? What's the new around how do we get going? And is there going to be a corona comeback as well? What do we do in that time? So there are multiple discussions. None of us have seen this pandemic before. None of us have been in this situation before. So there's no precedent. We really don't know what would happen next. We as human beings always thrive on something which is known as hope. So the hope is on, and with that, keeping our days busy. We are keeping our teams busy. And with that hope, we come back with a solid comeback, which is forever. So I'm going to start with my set of questions. I'm going to pose them to each of you. Samir, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
We've been my kids have been missing Nando's. We are Punjabi Bagh outlet loyalists, and my daughter and my son have been telling me, Dad, when do we get back to Nando's? So the question for you is that, as a responsible brand, as an international brand, what are the steps and strategy that you're implementing towards building that trust amongst customers to come back to Nando's?
So, to answer your first question, we opened Nando's yesterday in Punjabi Bagh. And,
oh, great.
Wow.
For delivery.
Good one.
So the second one sort of succeeds that, it's we've been testing COVID protocols. I guess, each one of us sort of grapples with that. And there's a huge amount of expectations. The government has a lot of expectations. The FSSAI rules have sort of changed around the COVID. The health ministry has. We've got certain international guidelines that are coming in. Guidelines, and internally from a Nando standpoint, given that we are a multinational company, as an organization also we've sort of created our own set of guidelines which are more stricter than the government would sort of ask for. So sure. I think essentially what's gonna, so I think essentially knows what these guidelines are and what needs to be done. I think most importantly, it's the new way of operation. So what we've been doing is that we've taken the time to sort of create our standard operating procedures and the time to sort of train our people well. So it's not about like garnering business now. I know that, essentially know that the businesses will come back. The customers are going to order, but importantly, what, the consumers, like you said, how do you build those confidence? What sort of confidence building measures do you put in place to ensure that your consumers are extremely happy? And I've seen most of the restaurants or most of the brands have come up with a sort of diktat. They're saying, we hand wash every 30 minutes. And I'm going to be very candid and critical about some of these things. And, I being a consumer myself. And so everybody seems to be saying that we sanitize, we do this, we do that. And essentially, I think what's more important is that the consumer sees all these things happening in front of them. So we're working on that area. Right. We're building softwares, we're building stuff which we actually can open our entire business to the consumer and let him see that how his stuff is getting prepared. The second thing is that we sort of started evaluating our menu, and we said that, minimal human touch. That's the sort of thing that you're sort of working on. So it's going to be more automated, and a majority of our products are automated. Only the last mile, which is grilling, is more like human intervention. Right. So, so we're filtering out these products and ensuring that it's all automated. It goes through a process. It goes through a certain amount of temperature, which is beyond, the danger zone. By the time the product comes in, we've started looking at packaging. There's primary packaging. There's secondary packaging. It's going to be more or less like it's one package that comes to you. You just tear it from a particular place, and everything is sort of just comes out. So it's minimalistic human touch there. So those are a couple of things, So this is a very, very longish topic, but if I were to just define it in a very succinct way, it's more about looking at every touch point and working around these touch points and ensuring that we go through a minimalistic human touch. That's one point of it. Try to automate as much as possible.
Right.
Silly is that potentially keep training staff and creating and make this entire piece like a habit. Things like social distancing, things sort of using sanitizers, things of cleaning, all the sort of things. So I think it's more important from an execution, and it becomes extremely important because, it's our team that is going to get all this to life. So the more you train them, the more it becomes a habit for them. It's essentially, that's going to create that success. So technology, training, and automation and making the entire process visible to your consumer. These are broadly 4 pillars that we seem to be working on.
And before I come to Vineet, Samir, just and is this a Nando's international policy? Is this something that you're doing specific for India? Because we as Indians have a different hygiene habit, or used to have a different hygiene habit, have a different one now. Is this something that you're localizing the global flavor or globalizing?
probably say 90% is universal to the Nando's world. About 10% is localization, keeping in mind that we operate in India. But 90% would be standard operating procedure. So, Kapil, the thing is that most of the brands are very stringent. So, for example, we always used the best chemical.
Yeah.
Already had that standard operating procedure. It's more about really putting that into force and ensuring, essentially ensuring that these things get done flawlessly with zero errors.
Yeah. Great. So good to know that. So Vineet, coming to you at Lite Bites, there are various, guidelines that are coming from various associations, from the MHA, from the NRAI. At Lite Bite, what are you guys doing? It's interesting that, as what Samir said, picking up a cue from him, that we need to also change the habits of our chefs, of our servers, of our waiters, and multiple people in the ecosystem. So how are you guys at Lite Bite working on this?
Okay, great. Yes, there are a lot of guidelines that have come in from MRAI, Ministry of Healthcare, Ministry of Healthcare. But primarily, if we see all the good manufacturing practices, they remain the same. When it comes to food hygiene is the same. The basics of food hygiene remain the same.
Right.
The only thing that is changing is compulsorily wearing the masks, social distancing, and a little bit of and more sanitation in the kitchen.
Vineet, sorry, your voice is muffling a little bit, and I can't see your video. I don't know if it's me that I can't see your video, but because
you can't see,
because we might need this for our recorded when Vinny and team gets it. So if you can just do a switch on, switch off of your video, because sometimes Google might have this issue. If it doesn't work, you might have to disconnect and rejoin, because sometimes it does crash for a second. I'll hold on for a second.
Can you see now?
No. So it's the Google issue.
I'll come back probably.
Yeah. So just disconnect, join, and rejoin. Just disconnect and then come back. So let me come to Tarak.
Yes, please.
What we've seen in the past, there used to be a different way that we used to, as consumers, behave. Delivery is something which a lot of brands, before they go live towards dining, I sent a short video on the group of a restaurant that reopened in Netherlands or in Amsterdam or somewhere. Yeah. Things are changing, At your end, how do you see things changing? What are the policies, or what are you bringing in your organization today?
Yeah, thanks for that, Kapil. I think to start with, we are an open organization. As I always say, that customers and guests can always come in and see what we do. So we have an open kitchen to start with.
Right, absolutely.
So how a dough gets into a donut form, the first thing you see it in front of your face, like that's already on your face kind of thing. Then you see your topping in front of you. Then you see how the packaging happens in there. So that continues. But the whole idea is that today, I think you have to be more visible to the consumers too. So what we have, for example, if you have a billboard kind of thing or a television, showcasing a product, maybe today you'll have to showcase your kitchen, what they're doing inside, So I think we may be wanting to over communicate now in terms of safety and hygiene as a starting point, I think. And then maybe product, maybe after 6, 7, 8 weeks down the line. I think to start with, the customer will have to be told that what kind of hygiene levels, what kind of safety precaution we are doing.
Yes.
So I think that will be the prime importance to start forward. So that trust, as soon as the trust builds into the system and with the brand, customer will start endorsing the brand. Because it is given that a brand has to have policy of practicing the correct hygiene, the correct safety process. And in this kind of circumstances, in what we are experiencing all these times now in the last 6 weeks, I think that has become prime importance of a brand, for sustainability. So people will want to see what you are doing, and they will want to endorse a brand. So I think the first program is to build the trust and over communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Tarak. So what I hear the words from you interestingly is that over communicating
On
for
hygiene and
sure.
safety. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Vineet, coming to you on the question that I had picked up was, various guidelines, NRAI, I'm sure you attended yesterday's session as well.
Right.
The F&B industry is one of the largest employers in terms of manpower. We employ a host of people from one base of the pyramid to a different top of the pyramid as well. The type of taxes that we contribute is huge in terms of the GDP and the economy. As I said, the number of people that we employ is from a variety. What type of policies are you following at Lite? But more importantly, how are you training your people? Because in this scenario, maybe is it contactless training or is it social distance-based training, or what are you really doing in Lite?
When it comes to hygiene and food safety, we have always been very particular about hygiene and food safety. I think we have a very strong quality assurance department, which is which is in-house. We have a microbiologist who is on board. She takes care. I mean, we have a full-fledged lab within the system. So, hygiene and food safety has always been the top priority for our company. But in these 6 weeks, yes, we have to do as mentioned by Samir and Tarak earlier. We have to do things which are and make it obvious to the guests, to the customer,
Right.
that yes, whatever we are doing, whatever we have been doing, has been the top-notch level of food safety, and now it has to be more visible. It has to be more like a hygiene theater. So probably, I mean, small things like when you are sanitizing your hands, small things when your temperatures are being recorded, small things that the entire team is wearing gloves while prepping. All these things have
Yeah.
to be emphasized. I mean, we have been doing it for from the very beginning, but they have to be now advertised more than anything else. So there is a trust deficit, and to overcome the trust deficit, we will have to. I mean, we have always believed that responsible food and beverage service operators will face no difficulty in winning the trust back. If you can
I think
prove to the customer that you are doing the best things, you can regain the trust very easily.
good point. I think that's a good point because I think I'm sure at the brands that all of us operate and we represent today, there was a very strong level of responsibility that we were taking care of in terms of hygiene for our employees and for our guests even earlier. Maybe now it's going to be, as you rightly said, a theater around it. It's more pronounced. It's more visible. It's more transparent. It's more communicated. Ram, coming to you at CCD, one of the other things that I wanted to put across, if you remember in the heydays in the salon industry, we used to tell our barber or our hairdresser to clean his comb and to clean the scissor, and then there used to be a sanitization kit, which after some years became a default. We never used to ask that question. So how long do you see this theater to continue? Are we converting customers to become auditors, to ask and check? Are we telling them to peep into our kitchen every time they want to come? Is this going to be for a while, and then maybe it becomes the new normal for them? Or do you think no, it's going to be a permanent change in everyone's behavior.
So yeah, thanks. See, cafe coffee. I mean, CCD. While some of the problems that everybody talked about is the same thing for us. See, ours is, as our tagline says, a lot can happen over coffee.
Right.
And people don't come. I mean, while we would like to think so, honestly, people come there to meet, and then they have coffee and whatever food that is offered there. So that model is in question now. There is we are still trying to figure out what is going to happen. How are we going to come out of this? Yeah, we can say we'll. Of course, the basic hygiene level is going to be improved. Of course, we are going to do that. Then we will go more into delivery. Yeah, but that is not going to bring back the business of what we were doing, because people meet in groups. People meet whether for social, to meet friends, real estate people.
Yes.
Our model is in question now. What else can we do? The hygiene. I mean, for us, the hygiene is not that big of a concern, because anyway, it's already made for that comes to us, made in plants comes to us. So there is at the outlet, there's not too much of handling. Yes, we can still improve the hygiene levels. We can't do anything about show kitchen, display kitchen, because that's out. We have very small footprints. And because of the rental pressures, we try to squeeze in about 200 square feet. We try to squeeze in 20, 30 tables. I don't know whether people are going to sit there. So forget whether the food or beverage, whether if they're going to meet in groups, we are wondering who's going to come then. Not many people and single people come. If there's a single people, we can always say we can get your coffee to your home. But if it's in groups, our entire model is changing, and that's what we are still figuring it out. I will frankly say we have not. We can say this is nothing like you have seen, but it's not about something that has happened. And post lockdown, because still now it's like we say we are in a coma. I mean, we still don't know what the extent of the damage is post lockdown. And if the lockdown, then only we'll know how deep is the wound, because so far all our landlords and everybody are, they're understanding us. Beyond, once it opens, they'll expect business to be usual. We will try to do, we will try to be maybe very smart and say we'll do a lot of delivery business. That's not going to happen. I mean, I can't, cappuccino is meant to be sipped at the table, made, 5 minutes fresh. How am I to transport that? Our sandwiches, whatever. So internally, we're debating, okay, of course, the basic hygiene levels and improving it at the outlets and all that stuff, checking employees and all that. Beyond that, what do we do? Should we change our model? How much can we change? If it's going to be delivery, a lot of our products are not robust enough to be handled in delivery. I mean, in 45 minutes, coffee gets cold, sandwiches get cold. So it's a huge dilemma. And to what extent do we reduce the staffing? I mean, the tables. Will people come? How far will people sit and talk? I think, but the larger question is, when you said, will this be the new norm? I have a little different take. I think, I don't think human beings, and especially India, we are very social animals. After a while, I think we'll have to pray to all the gods that some kind of a vaccine / drug is on its way. I mean, there are all kinds of reports, but we as social animals, I don't think will continue to do this new norm of, I mean, you can see when the liquor outlets opened, I didn't see any social distancing. Even today, I just came back from work. There is no social distancing. So, I mean, everybody's keeping quiet, including the government and the cops, because there's money coming in. So everything is, it's, we will tolerate it. We will carefully oversee it till such point. We have to see. I mean, there is a lot of Hail Mary. We'll have to figure it out. We don't know how much to change our business. For the interim, putting in a lot of the usual hygiene stuff. But anyway, our customers are not seeing anything that, they're making the coffee with their gloves. Okay, we'll go there. That's not going to happen. It's for us a slightly, So I did different, a more challenging or a different challenge for us. We are still working on it.
No, I think Ram, you're very right because you've been very candid. So question, just a follow-up question: how many outlets did we have operational prior to this lockdown for CCD?
We had about 1,300, and
we had 1,300 outlets.
Yeah, now hardly about 100 are open. I mean, so, and they also don't do much because not everything was on delivery because it was mapped out. I mean, this was, see, it's a clear different pre-COVID and post-COVID. And pre-COVID, we had selected certain outlets based on, you know, the location, all that. So we had about 500 outlets mapped out on delivery. Now, a lot of them were, you know, now either they are in, I mean, wherever, you know, the prime areas across India is in, you know, containment zones. I mean, all the places in Bombay where the business would be there, they are all in hot red zones. Same thing in Bangalore. So, I mean, if as of the entire, you know, universe is against us, wherever it works, that's where containment zones are. So where there are no containment zones, it's a so-called green zone, that's not the most profitable. I mean, for obvious reason, whether it's location. So it's a very you know, interesting, you know, meeting of, you know, like the perfect storm. We're just sorting it out.
Exactly. I think during the perfect storm, it's important to keep your head down, duck down, and come out of the water over a period of time. So don't worry, we'll get there. We have Chris is going to give us some suggestions and some ideas in terms of. So, you know, Chris, it's great to have you on the panel today, and you represent Cube Health. You know, all of us are grappling with this situation. I think you have something that you think is important that all brands should be following. You have some sort of ideas and solutions which some of your clients are already implementing. Would love to hear your point of view. But before I let you answer that, we recently, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, came across this news that there was a pizza delivery guy who tested positive in Delhi, right? And then there were 72 people who had to be traced, tracked, and quarantined as well. How do we manage such situations? And they can happen tomorrow with anyone, right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kapil. And guys, I can't presume to, you know, come in and teach all of you guys. You all know your business really well. So with all humility, all I can probably add is my perspective as a potential outsider coming in from the healthcare business. I mean, just to set the context, we are a workplace healthcare management company, work with large employers to help them manage employee health. And thus far, food services was just one vertical for us, and non-food services was the larger piece of the puzzle. The approach thus far for most organizations was purely, and especially in the context of India, compliance. You know, if I run a factory, I have some, you know, laws, labor laws that I need to comply with. If I have a food services business, there is the FSSAI guideline that if you're an organized player, you will adhere to. If you're an unorganized player, you'll probably have somebody who will just fill in, you know, some stuff for the sake of it and show that you're compliant. And if you are a modern, let's say a technology IT services company or a advertising agency, you're using it as a means to convey marketability to future employees. So hopefully you become an employer of choice. So that was the context with which we kind of came in. We work with large companies like SBI Life Insurance, for whom we manage 16,000 employees across 783 locations. We work and manage 4 cement plants for Dalmia Cements on the east of India. And as it turns out, in the food services, we have a bunch of clients such as Jubilant. We manage about 25,000 employees for Domino's, focusing on vaccinations and compliance, etc. We've started working with Chayos as well, etc., etc. The reason why they came to us earlier, pre-COVID or BC or before COVID, as everyone's been calling it now, was purely for compliance. They were a national player. They didn't need to deal with or do a beauty contest of different laboratories and diagnostic labs, or have a regional store manager go and find Dr. Lal's path lab to get a compliance test done, then wait for the reports to come in a PDF format or some sort of a physical documents, send it to headquarters. And by the time the documents are all collated at central HQ, the employee has quit and gone. Some of the employees would skip their vaccinations. All of this was totally okay. But the companies came to us because we were a super aggregator. We have over 11,000 hospitals, clinics, and diagnostic centers across the country. All the big names work with us. And they came to us because we gave them a price guarantee. One price across the country, cheapest. And we will match anything which is cheaper. But now the situation is very different. Over the last 6 weeks, what we are seeing is that especially for food services, where the conversation was around now the conversation at food safety and hygiene, now the conversation has moved to employee health and employee safety. As everyone knows, this is a disease that is human. So to your point, Kapil, about that pizza delivery guy, no one's asking if that pizza was contaminated. Everyone's asking or talking about how that pizza delivery guy, that human, really was infected, right? And that is a very important component of the statistic that you mentioned earlier, that if you are the largest employer in the country, people are the bedrock of that entire business. So perception drives that reality that if you are able to position yourself as an employer that cares and prioritizes employee health, that's battle number one. Food safety and hygiene is a given. I think that's needless to say. If you're a reputable brand, you're going to focus on that. But are you an employer that is really thinking like the westernized countries do about how do I take care of employee health, employee safety, employee insurance, all of those aspects, and then communicating providing that reassurance and trust to your customers, and then making sure that there is a process in place for adherence. I think Samir mentioned earlier about adherence to washing hands and so on and so forth. The big issue that Indians have always faced with is adherence, right? We don't even take our medicine doses, and follow the full cycle. So how do you make sure that those employees follow that? There's a lot more I can talk about, but I'm going to pause there just to kind of give you the context.
So, yesterday when the another F&B session was going on, interestingly, I was thinking to myself, and look at the habit of hygiene. Like Samir right now is still using a sanitizer while being on a webinar, so that he's really keeping social distancing. I think that's a habit that all of us are getting into over a period of time. I saw him do it thrice. Let me get my sanitizer as well. But I was just thinking the other day that, let's say there's a restaurant that says we serve food which is hygienic and we charge a premium for it. We give you visibility, and yet we have another branch that does not follow any of those hygiene matrix. We charge 50% more than that one. We know where the consumer is going to go today. I think it's a given. However, as you rightly said on the adherence piece, Chris, and I would like Samir to jump in here, and the rest of you can also come in too, is that, from the aggregators, we are seeing them trying to get the FSSAI 48 points on the checklist, those certifications in. Some of them are trying to give you access to the Arogya Setu app of the rider who's coming to your home. Despite all of this, you get someone checked yesterday in the evening. He might at night, he would have gone somewhere to buy vegetables, and he might have caught this the virus. The bigger problem today being is that there are asymptomatic cases. How do you deal with that? If I'm in the IT industry, which you guys are not in the IT industry, you're in the food business, which means contact, and contact. Whether it's your food, whether it's serving, whether it's okay, you can now figure out the bill can be done digitally. But in the IT industry, you can have 50,000 people sitting at home and building a software. You can't do this with your food and beverage business. So, Chris, I'll come to you in a second, but I want to ask Samir, and then maybe the rest of you as well. We, as the F&B industry, have been struggling over the last few years with challenges on liquor licensing, on bureaucratic norms that we have, and this has hit us. So maybe we are the warriors or the Spartans or the Vikings, or whatever you want to say. But Samir, how do we manage this? How do we manage this problem? You can unmute yourself, Samir. One sec. Let me help you unmute. Minnie, I think you're the organizer. You'll have to do that.
No, unfortunately, Samir will have to do it himself. Samir, at the bottom of the screen, there's a scroll. If you just scroll your cursor there, you'll see the mic. Maybe then he'll just have to leave and then come back, because we are unable to. I'm unable to unmute from here.
Sure. So Samir, can you just try to? Yeah. So Chris, since you raised your hand, and I hope you have an answer on this one. So go ahead, my friend.
Gosh, I'm almost with trepidation talking about. Hey, Samir has just joined in. Do you want Samir to respond?
Yeah, let Samir jump in case. Samir, are you good? No, he's still on mute.
Can you hear me, guys?
Okay. Yes, boss. We can hear you.
Yeah, it just takes a little time to sort of manage technology. I'm not good at it. I can sort of say that. Okay. Now, Kapil, unfortunately, this is not a very simple answer. There's no magic wand to this. I think it's, as I said, it's going to be a new normal, and we are a labor-intensive industry. The challenge is going to be is that we used to work in a particular fashion. Our teams used to work in a particular fashion. If I were to categorize it, hygiene was hygiene. Always it was just behind. It was always taken for granted. It was more about the presentation of the product. It was more about the taste. It was more about the ambience. That the consumer used to give advantage. Possibly give premium. Like you rightly said, today hygiene is going to come at a premium. People won't mind paying extra money for a restaurant which is more hygienic, which follows those protocols. Now, who are we working with? End of the day, you can bring in automation, you can bring in technology, but end of the day, it's the people, and you got to form this habit. Like Chris was saying, the biggest disadvantage is that there's a sort of non-compliance with the Indians. We forget to take our tablets. There are times when we need to remind our staff that, I know there are restaurants which put alarms, which goes off every 30 minutes, and people sing songs like happy birthday to me, all that sort of things to sort of, create that excitement within the team member to I guess where the restaurants are going to invest is more training and making it a habit, and almost becoming, making people subconscious about these things, wherein the moment you touch your face, the moment you touch anything, you're going to go sanitize. And that's what the consumer is going to keep looking at, because he's always going to have that hawkish eye and saying, listen, I'm getting into this restaurant. Is it, safe for me? Is the staff safe? Is he practicing those procedures or those fundamentals which I want to have a look at? And that's where really the challenge is. So from our perspective, we're not in a hurry to open a business. Like I said, that more important is ensuring that we are a business that adapts, which is malleable, which is ensuring these standard operating protocols are in place, training, investing heavily in ensuring that our staff follows those standard operating procedures. And I guess that's the only thing that is going to differentiate a restaurant which is hygienic to a restaurant which is not. It's all about the people. So what if the couple of things that we've sort of done is that, we've got an online training platform. We recertified our staff. We're doing a lot of mock drills we've sort of created, a phenomenon where there is an influx of orders to see whether, and these are internal, just to see whether the staff is managing all these protocols, whether there's hand washing or not. And we're getting there. I think all of us are just right, and once we feel confident about it, I think it just becomes a daily thing. What we also do is that there is limited number of passes right now. So there is technology. We've got our area managers who actually through, every restaurant has a camera, right? So they get a live feed and they keep looking at it. And we've got a software which keeps telling us that there's a non-compliance, there's a compliance, and then we sort of coach our people around it and say that this is what shouldn't be done. And, if it's been good, then we tell our people that it's a good job, you keep doing this. So obviously,
yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Essentially, no magic bullet. It just comes down to the fact is that you keep training your people. It's going to be a new normal. It's a warlike situation. The better you can adapt yourself and be very quickly into the new normal, I think those are the brands which are going to be, would be very successful in this day and age.
So let's say, Samir, and then I'll come to you, Tarak, as well, is that when you open, assuming that today is countdown and tomorrow you're opening up one of your outlets, are you going to have a pre-booking? Are you going to allow the doors open to let customers come in? Are you going to have a limited menu? Can you jog me through, as you rightly said, you have some cameras. We also have a solution around the same thing, that how many times people sanitizing their hands through a camera-based intelligence program, which is not that you have to see it, it detects it. So from a consumer journey perspective, when you open tomorrow morning, just take me through the journey from a customer's perspective.
Okay, fair. So Kapil, it's a long list, I think, so let me start with the suppliers. I think we missed that important point, is that we, so we've started working with our suppliers and, we've increased the sort of audits that we do. And as they open, certainly keep increasing the frequency of audits. And obviously these are AAA suppliers, and we've been asking them that how are they getting ready in terms of these scenarios, and we certify them, recertify them in order to ensure that they are suppliers. That's one. So food safety actually is very paramount in saying that, we are only dealing with the COVID-free suppliers or suppliers who put in systems and processes in place to ensure staff safety. And, so then one. Secondly, as I said, we're not in a hurry right now, and probably I would be, I'm going away from what the other restaurateurs are saying, even in the NRI group, which we are there, everybody says, but I'm saying we're not in a hurry to sort of make business. Business will eventually come. I think there's a paradigm shift. So more important is that, so we're not selling, we're not pre-booking anything. We are not going to advertise it. We're going to run a lot of simulations in the restaurant. We're not in a hurry. So we're just gradually opening some of our restaurants. And we'd probably do the same, once the malls open. But more importantly, before opening, we will certify all our restaurants to ensure that they've complied, staffs are trained well, they understand the importance, and they can manage their own safety and the safety of our customers. And also pressure test the business, so there are times when so for example, Saturdays and Sundays, one thinks aloud, probably do like 13, 14 table turns in a restaurant. So what is that table turn that will ensure there's a fine balance between safety, hygiene, and service? And then we're relooking at, the entire service parameters. How do you serve? What do you serve with?
Yeah.
How close, So essentially everything. So that's is. I think very important is because the brand's at risk, and if you don't end up doing that, there could be an animosity against the brand. And, we've seen examples,
Yes.
enough and more that have gone onto the social media. Social media has become
That's right.
very active. People's been, they've been scrutinizing. The other day, I don't want to name the brand, but a customer was taking a video and it was viral at the social media and
Right.
saying that the manager wasn't wearing the mask and he was insisting. So, so that's essentially where it is, because at the end of the day, you end up working with people and you got to train them, you got to sensitize them, you got to ensure that these guys from the heart follow this. It's like an army order, it's regimentation, there is either do this or you essentially do nothing else, and just look at an army sort of a thing, how's the army trained? They keep doing the same thing again and again until it sort of becomes a habit, so those.
Yeah, I think, Samir, the drill is important, as you rightly said, and Tarak, I'll allow you to come in and jump in as well. But I think what I picked up from you, Samir, is that being a responsible brand also demonstrates that you're not in a hurry to get into business with a risk. You will take your time, you will take your sweet time, you will get your drills in order, you will ensure that your vendors are compliant, you want to be in a comfortable position, and that shows that you're willing to make the investment for the long haul, not only for the short term, because businesses also look at short terms, which is very important for survival, and there's always a long term. So today we are grappling with both the situations, and obviously we're there to mystery audit you guys. So I wish you all the best in terms of what you're doing. Tarak, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, so I will start with what Samir some time back said, that people start singing when there's a singing happy birthday to you and there's a ring going on. Well, something interesting what we have started recently in all our stores, every half an hour, we actually ring a bell in the store. So a few of our stores already open for delivery.
Right.
So people actually rush to the, to the place where they start washing their hands. And I think this will keep on going as and when we'll open the stores also. So I think that responsibility of washing hands, as he said, that will become a more of an army regime kind of thing, that every time something rings in your ears, you start washing your hands. I think it could be a good start, to say, and we already started that in few of the stores, as I say that.
That's good. Good to hear.
Yeah, and in terms of, I think starting the thing, I think we are already on in delivery. A few of the stores in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore are already started. But however, the best part is that our stores are not 2,000, 3,000 square feet. We are a 200, 250 square feet store, and our majority of our business comes from delivery. So,
Right.
20, so we are, that way we are well preserved. I think we don't have space. I think we will start removing our tables and chairs from our store wherever they exist. But however, as a good thing that we have started the store now. So as a short-term kind of plan, I think we have started our store, and hopefully we'll start soon everything together.
Sure, good. Vineet, coming to you, are you guys doing deliveries as of now? When do you plan to open up your first set of restaurants? What are your plans in place? One of the other questions that is a burning question that's coming to my mind, a lot of other people, there's a lot of safety gear that we're going to use during this time. Apart from the sanitizers, they're going to be masks, they're going to be gloves. There's another challenge that comes to it in terms of how do you dispose of these, so that they don't inadvertently come
Right.
back into the cycle, how things can happen, right? We've seen some not so good quality masks also floating around in the garb of good ones. I know there's one of my startups that is known by the name Genuine Mark. They have created a sort of a label that goes on a mask, on a kit, on a product where you can scan it and you know whether it's been used or not. Because when you take it for the first time, you scan it any which way. So it destroys the QR code on it. So it can't be used again. So, and this is something that restaurateurs are good in a few things, which is their food, their service, and their ambience. They're not IT companies. They use a POS from another company. They use technology from another company. They do all of that. They're good in something which is food or service or the
Right.
ambience. These are things that experts have to, manage this. So how do you address this new animal in the fridge?
Right. So, Kapil, what I would like to mention to start with, I would like to mention that there are two things. One is following the compliance, just complying with the what is mandated, and second is feeling responsible.
Right.
What we are doing is we are investing heavily on training. We This is the time when we had plenty of time in hand. We have gone through, we have revamped the entire SOP, right from receiving, right from the vendor audits to receiving, to how the material will be received, how will it be transported from our warehouse to the kitchens. What will the staff do? How do we greet the guest? How do we receive them? How do we seat them? The entire thing. So we have, in fact, redefined, and we have started training our team again and again. I mean, ours is a very labor-intensive, or man-intensive, skill-intensive industry, and we have to. I mean, we feel responsible for our guests and the well-being of our team. We are a great places to serve, great places to work. Certified company.
Yeah.
We feel very responsible for our team as well as the guests that we serve. So, I mean, following good practices, yes, but thinking it over again and again, and making sure that whatever we do it the best. That is what is going on at the moment, and we are again and again changing our own rules to improve them further.
So these are things, Vineet, I hear that are in your control. And Ram, I'll come to you again, and Chris would want you to jump in as well. These are things that are in your control, and these are things that obviously you are trying to put SOPs, policies, trainings, reiterated trainings, digital trainings, assessments, all of that in place.
Right.
From a consumer's lens perspective, Vineet, I come to your restaurant, and few things that come to my mind. The cutlery that you're going to use, are you going to use something that's going to be disposable, which is one? I don't know, I'm just asking you, which is one. Then there's certain things that are not in your control, like for example, if a waiter sneezes all of a sudden, okay, he's wearing a mask, so you might say, Kapil, don't worry. If I sneeze on the trot 3 times, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. Right. What happens in the restaurant all of a sudden?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have to take precautions. What we have done is we have made masks as a part of the uniform. So,
right.
So they are. We don't want that masks should come back. As the disposable masks should come back into the system. So we have ensured that masks are reusable masks that we give to the, and they go as a part of the uniform, and they come back as a part of sanitized uniform, properly laundered and sanitized. We are working with our laundry vendor, and
right.
we work with the sanitized uniform now. So that is number one. Number two, when it comes to, I mean, if somebody sneezes in the restaurant, we will have to, I mean, accidents happen, yes, but we have to, the manager has to be empowered enough, so that that is what we are working on. I mean, we are working on all the drills as to what happens if this certain. I mean, we are working on role plays. So everybody is finally. It is the moment of truth when it happens. How our people deal with it. But it is very important that we are training them, and we are telling them that, okay, this is how you can handle it.
Yeah. Tarak, you guys have a digital menu board. What about Vineet? What about Samir? What's going to happen to your menu?
Our menu is the entire menu is going on a QR code. The entire process of right from the menu, in fact, right from the reservation till the
Right.
billing, is
Right.
entirely getting digitized. And I mean, there will be some guests who would insist on paying cash, but we will discourage that. I mean, I know we will. I am not being very politically correct when I say that we will discourage cash. But yes, we have defined an SOP that if a guest insists that he wants to pay with cash, the notes have to be put in an envelope, and they have to be quarantined for a certain period of time. And we are working on a UV oven where we keep the notes. The envelope goes there, and before coming back to the system.
So the notes are also going to get a chance to get baked as well.
Absolutely.
So Ram, coming to you, you know what I really like about this panel, as I started in the beginning of my conversation, I think we have a few more minutes to go off air as well, is that, you know, we are all sitting here with a hope. You know, I like your envelope idea. You know, these are things that again give you hope that you guys are gearing up to open doors. This shows that you're open to welcoming people, because, you know, we as human beings, as Ram said, we're social beings. You know, we would want to come out. Just imagine. I remember one of my employees today gave me a call. He's in an apartment that has been quarantined for the last 46 days. They allowed some people to go out today, and his voice had changed. His voice was sounding as if he found a puppy for himself. You know, his voice was totally, you know, there was a different spark in it. I'm sure people over a period of time are going to start coming out. They're going to start enjoying their meals. As a lot happen over coffee, it's not only about the coffee, it's about the social bonding. Yeah, maybe the hugs and the cheek kisses will not happen anymore. But yes, you can't tie down people. But what is important today is that, you know, the costs that you guys are incurring, I understand that you might have to even extend a part of this cost to customers. They might not be having a coffee every day now. They might be having it thrice in a week, or twice in a week, maybe once in a week. So Ram, you know, from your perspective, I totally understand challenging times. You've not seen too much of traction from the delivery side, is what you've said. On the menu side, or let me come back to your communication. A lot can happen over coffee. Is there a new marketing or a brand communication change to win back your customers, to ensure there's a repeat footfall? Are you grappling with that? Are you still thinking about that? Has Venu and team and you guys come to a solution on that, or still thinking about it?
Well, I wish I had all the answers to all your questions, so let me try. So yes, see, because of the nature of the people and why they come, we do have a core set of people who are the, you know, who swear by the cup of coffee or the ambience, or they are stuck to a certain place and they will only do their business meetings, you know, for years and years. So there are those people. Now, of course, those people are not coming. So we have to figure out how, you know, the point is, how do we survive the next 3-4 months? I don't know. There's a whole lot we can do to change the entire paradigm of our model. I don't know if it's going to work out. We need to write this in, and you know, delivery will happen. Yes, we have to survive the next 3-4 months. So we need to see how do we increase the uptake of the delivery business. So we are looking at re-engineering our menu. Yeah, something that is more apt for these times, immune boosting products, beverages, or more healthier products. Although healthy is a kind of an oxymoron in our thing, because you know, nothing of that sort really sells in our model. Having said that, we have to, so we are working towards that. But the larger thing is, I think, we have to have hope that this is going to turn out, for the better. Things will work it out. And so for that, some of the other members said, our challenges, 1,100, 1,200 outlets, which means they are far flung, where a lot of these outlets are on their own, are one of the bigger challenges we have on a regular day is consistency. So how do we bring that up? So yes, we are doing, this is a, God-given time for us to do a heck of a lot of training. Because, by the time you finish one cycle of training across the place, then it's time either for a new product or people, attrition. That was a big problem for us. We can't, we are spreading across the length and breadth of the country, reaching places, so we are trying to do that, so that if we improve our consistency, and then when we can provide the same services and the food, I think we should be able to, get back those customers. Till such time, we have to live this. Whatever we can do, delivery, takeaway, make it more curbside pick, whatever, all those, things we are also trying. Whether that will get back the entire business, probably not. But I think we need to get ready for what will happen post. Yes, there will be a lot of people who would have probably not survived. Yes, there will be additional costs. How do we manage that? I think you said, there will be some additional costs we have to incur, but I don't know we'll be in any position to transfer that to the customers, because the economy would have had its effects. How many people? Those people coming today, how many people will be able to come? The number of people will decrease. So we are there, we are doing everything towards it, but I think some of the costs, and that's where our innovations and engineering, we are already working on how do we get ready for additional costs through some innovative techniques.
Sure. Chris, since you guys at Cube Health are at the forefront of trying to advise brands that my panelists or your co-panelists deal with, so are the employees at risk today, yet we are seeing that they are willing to still get into the zone because they need to also need to manage their lives as well. Yet, whenever someone goes to the forefront, you always equip them with the right arsenal and equipment, which, as we've heard from all the industry stalwarts today. So, is this something at Cube Health that you think is a definite, do or a don't that you think we should keep in mind? And after this, I would just do a small last roundup. I'd like everyone to have their closing comments, so you can just keep your minds open towards that. Chris?
Sure. Thanks, Kapil. So, I've got a couple of points. I'm going to take 2-3 minutes in the context of what all the gentlemen here spoke. I'm going to start with the point you mentioned. And I think it was Vineet who talked about how his organization is Great Place to Work certified. One of the products that we've launched during this crisis has been a healthy workplace certification for food services as well as non-food services. For non-food services, we've got physical health as well as mental health assessments, so depression, anxiety, stress, etc. We score the individual. The individual gets a sense of what their physical and mental health score is as compared to what is medically normal, as well as what is compared to their peer group. And the aggregate of that is anonymized for the organization, so the organization can benchmark themselves against other peers in the industry group. In the food services, we've done a blend of FSSAI compliance as well as the COVID screening aspects, and putting all of that together to provide a branded product supported by NABL and ICMR certified certificates that are out there. But without sounding like I'm trying to make a pitch on that product, I want to talk in context of some of the points that all the gentlemen mentioned. First and foremost, one thing we realize here at Cube Health is healthcare is a very boring topic, right? right? Nobody likes to talk about it until their lives really depend. I mean, how many of us make it a necessary discipline to go out there and get a health checkup regularly? And even if we do so, you would typically walk into a lab and they'll say, oh, we have this executive health checkup package. There is a silver, gold, and platinum package. And in this price, you will get so many tests. And you will say that, hey, I'm getting a bigger bang for the buck. Make sure there are 25 different tests, not realizing whether they're relevant to you or not, right? So chances are you, your spouse, your parents, they're all doing the same silver package because you got a great deal. The second is, in your industry, which has 100% attrition rates, any kind of training, any kind of adherence activity is a rinse and repeat. And that's going to be, going forward, we all recognize is going to be a huge cost. But I would like to submit that no matter what you do, a lot of that is limited to the place of work. You have no control on what happens once that guy goes home, right? And as it happens in Mumbai, where I'm based right now, and in a lot of other metros, a lot of these guys are day workers who share a bed in the day because they've got that shift and then with someone else. So in those closed situations, how does one manage? And I think Mumbai is facing the brunt of that. Maharashtra is facing a brunt of that. So no matter what you do within the restaurant, the moment that guy goes home or that individual goes home, all bets are off, right? And as we know, if 80% of the people are asymptomatic, when they walk in, they may seem seemingly all fine, but they've got the mask and they're not coughing and they don't have everything. How does one address that? There is the other aspect of cost, and I think someone mentioned about cost in itself. Here's the surprising thing, right? The cost of a CBC test that's a complete blood count test, which is an indirect marker, potentially if your white blood cells go up or go down and some inflammation can be seen, is less than the cost of the mask that you're giving them. But most companies do not know that, and they're not spending on that. So if I administer a CBC test, which is a simple blood draw, for the next 100 days or 120 days for your employees every 15 days, it's going to cost you less than the cost of the mask that you're giving them. But the whole idea of education around that doesn't exist. Needless to say, everybody can't go out there and spend 4,500 rupees on a COVID test. The government also doesn't allow it. You need to have a prescription from a doctor, and the doctor needs to do a symptom assessment test. Now, but companies are not going out there and even spending on a symptom assessment test and getting voluntary declaration from employees as a means for plausible deniability, right? I mean, let's say one of your employees came in and said, oh, no, I'm fine, I'm totally okay. And then that guy gets caught. The branding on that is the employee of XYZ brand was found positive. And then guess what? As Samir mentioned, everything is on social media. Suddenly everything gets blanketed. So hygiene is one aspect, but I think it's very, very important to talk about what are we doing, which are basics, which are not expensive at all. I mean, our healthy workplace certification costs 1,000 rupees per employee for a one-time exercise, and it's 1,800 rupees for the whole year. And what is covered is a COVID screening. There is a temperature check that's done on a daily basis. There's a web app that's given. Even when they're at home, they have some questions. There is an Autobot that kind of gives them those answers. We do vaccinations for Hep B and typhoid. We are doing so all of those things come together, and what you're getting is a medical certificate from a MBBS qualified doctor. You're getting a fit unfit report from an NABL certified lab, and then you're getting a healthy workplace certificate, which one of our clients, now we've just last week done a pilot of it. It's a Japanese restaurant in Mumbai. They're starting delivery, so they're giving all their delivery boys and their staff these badges. All of their packing slips are going with this sticker that says, hey, this is a healthy workplace certified organization, and so on and so forth. I think all of this needs to be done. My final submission in this is going to be, while safety, hygiene, practice, and adherence is going to be important, it's time as an industry we start thinking about the human and making sure that human's health, because a skin test will show what's on the skin, but what's inside is only going to happen when you do a simple blood draw or a saliva test or something of that sort, right? And it doesn't cost as much. That's the thing. Yeah, so I'm going to pause there and let you do the final closing remarks.
Good. I think, Chris, very, very valid statements, very responsible approach towards how you're helping organizations. I'm sure your phone is busy nowadays, and we hope that it continues to remain busy in terms of guiding people the right way. It's been a pleasure having you on our panel.
Likewise. Thank you.
Tarak, we love your donuts, man. Keep it going. Anything you want to close with a sweetness in your mouth? Anything you want to say? 1 second, you have to unmute yourself, Tarak. I know we're excited.
Yeah, so I was saying that I was emphasizing on too much on overcommitting on hygiene, safety, etc. But I think already our communication has changed from product and promotion led to product, hygiene, and engagement led. Let's face it, we all as a brand just spread happiness, and I think that is how we need to keep going. That is first thing to talk about. And having said that, we as a brand should not leave our underlying value of being relevant, witty, and just spread that smile across. And I think everything will fall into place soon. Hygiene, safety will take its own place. Don't worry about it.
Kapil, you just froze.
What I was saying is that you've been entire webinar today, so you've been wearing your smile throughout the webinar. So love it, and wish you and the brand all the very best. Vineet, my friend, when do we get to a Punjab grill?
So you can get Punjab grill at your place. We are delivering from 6 locations. In fact, we started delivering from 29th March onwards. So we are already delivering. Yes, but and the trends have been good. We have seen increase in business, but yes, these are difficult times. They will also pass. I am a total optimist. I would say that. I mean, this is we have to keep working towards the best, and we will come out stronger out of it.
Thanks a lot, Vineet. Samir, your last closing comments with a punch, with peri peri punch.
Yeah, absolutely. I am dying to eat the chicken myself. Unfortunately.
I'll go for the natural flavor. I love your natural. You know, it has the right. You can taste everything in it.
Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah.
Mild.
Great, great. So, I think, it's been a very interesting discussion, a lot of learning. And I was sitting back and contemplating, and I was saying that we've got very able minds actually evaluating the new normal. We've got, for example, Chris, who's given he's basically drawn a canvas around what health of the staff should look like, great examples around, a normal blood test like a CBC count can actually tell you that that's the health. So essentially, all the other panelists have shared such great views, and I was thinking, each one of us is actually grappling with a similar problem. What would help essentially is collaboration. We've been doing a lot of that. We've been reaching out to our international business. We're trying to understand like how, Singapore's been very successful in flattening the curve. They've done very, very, so we've actually done a lot of web seminars with our Singapore colleagues to try and understand as to how they are delivering. Similarly, in Malaysia, US, so the emphasize on is that collaboration is going to certainly help, because each one of us is coming up with some great ideas. I know technology, as a food industry, we've been very shy of investing in technology. The new AIs which are coming in, like you were talking about, Kapil, that, there are systems which we can actually check on defaults on standard operating procedures. You really don't need humans to kind of look at it. I genuinely feel that, you know, you've got to sort of look at budgets and sort of heavily invest in technology so that you almost have 100% compliance. I also know that businesses need to reevaluate the supply chain because it's not about cooking in the restaurant. It is actually what comes into the restaurant and where is it coming from and what sort of traceability can you check. It's not really about buying vegetables off the vendor, but it's also ensuring that, you know, how are they produced. Similarly, standard operating procedures, training people. So there's lots going to happen. Essentially, I think the time that we've been given is to rewrite our business model. What used to be a business model before would completely change. And one of the things that I'm seeing is that traditionally what's happened is that casual dining restaurants were more about experience. And they started, like Punjab Grill is a great example. You know, Punjab Grill, you know, started delivering. And I heard Vineet saying that, you know, it's doing really well and delivery is increasing. Similarly, we've looked at delivery, you know. So obviously, you know, we've started understanding what delivery looks like for a casual dining restaurant and what should be the pricing, what should be the menu and the packaging. So, in a nutshell, what's going to happen is that companies are going to focus more on staff safety and health. Suppliers are, you know, you've got to really work with only those suppliers who are world-class in terms of ensuring that they follow the same regimentation as you. The entire training approach is going to change because the more you train your people, you know, the sort of habits that you put into them to ensure that what they do is genuinely what they do. It's not like a makeup or, you know, it's not a stage show sort of a stuff. And then really rewriting your business model. And I guess the last one is going to be the big one because essentially sales are not going to come through for about a year and a half by the time you sort of build the confidence. And during those tough times, how do you survive? You know, the challenge is going to be how do you survive? Can you actually survive? Because if you can, then it's going to be the greatest thing you can ever, you know, you'd probably be the best at that point of time. That's essentially how it's going to be. So, yeah, so those were the 4 things that come into my mind. Yeah.
So, great. I'm just going to wrap this up with some closing comments, and I'm going to share a short experience that happened with me yesterday. So you are at home where your kids are running around, and I did not have a printer at home, and my daughter insisted that because her studies are going on. So I braved it out to go to the office. And first of all, you know, opening the shutter of the office felt great. Looking at the office, walking around with no one inside the office was very nostalgic. But what really hit me, and I'll share this video on our group, and I think we should keep the group alive for a while, because what Samir said is that spirit of collaboration, you know, they could be something that Chris comes up with. Ram says, you know, we have done this at CCD. Vineet says, why don't you guys try this out? Tarak says, you know, this is something that we discovered just yesterday night. And Samir said, you know, this is something that costs nothing but has a tremendous value. So coming to what happened with me at the office, you know, I on my table have a small fish bowl, not a fish tank, and I have 7
Kapil, we can't hear you.
in my office. There's one in the conference room. There's one at the entrance. There's one on my table. There's one on an about.
I mean, it's getting better, but not very clear. It's better now.
Okay, cool. So what I was trying to say is that I have these 7 fish bowls in my office, and they are 2 of them in each of the fish bowls. And I was worried over the last 45 days that the first thing that came to my mind when I was driving to the office, that what is going to happen to all these fishes? They obviously would have by now committed suicide, because they must be feeling so depressed. No one is there to feed them. Interestingly, in all the fish bowls, all the fishes, and I'm going to send you those videos, were alive. Not even one died over the last 45 days. I was scratching my head that how is this scientifically possible? Now, there must be something, maybe they figured out a way to live on the algae that came on top of the water or something. So I think that gave me a lot of hope. And that video I immediately sent to my core team and to all of my employees. I'm going to send that to you guys as well, that if these guys in a small environment, they've been stuck in it, they've survived 45 days without any food, I'm sure we guys should come up with something as well. All the best, guys. God bless you. Keep on doing what you're doing. Let's collaborate, learn from each other, take this ahead.
Thanks, Kapil.
Guys, Kapil, thank you so much. I mean, would Vineet and Ram like to share any closing comments as well? We'd really love to hear from you guys too.
Yeah, I will. I will also have to say something. So I know these are some unprecedented times and unique times, but I think there is always a silver lining. And something that was mentioned was, I mean, we are all busy with our jobs, and we think we have the biggest challenges. And probably we know all the names, but I myself not met, if not for this. So I think every situation brings us, if this was to be held on a physical convention, I don't know how many of us would have been able to attend. So the times have changed. Webinar makes it so easy. I mean, you just have to, it's just about the 1 hour. Otherwise you have to, think about the travel and the, whole day. So I think these difficult times makes it, something else comes up. And so this was great. But the other thing is, rather than thinking about our problems, I think if we were to do this, and this is becoming so much more easier, our other issues can also be, thought out and collaborated rather than us thinking through and trying to reinvent everything, whereas somebody else would have, thought about those things. So I think that is the biggest learning. Yeah, we have to somehow survive this. And I am very positive that, things will change. Yeah, it'll take its time, but, interacting like this, maybe some of those issues can be, resolved much faster or much easier.
Thanks. Thank you, Ram. And Vineet, any closing comments from your end?
Well, George, I did my closing comments, but yes, thank you for inviting again. I will just say that yes, we have been. These are very difficult times for everyone all over. But human race is very adaptable. We have seen and especially Indians are one step ahead. So we will come out stronger from this, and we will keep on learning. We will keep on adapting, and we will keep on. I am very optimistic that we will come out stronger.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Obviously, the entire purpose of this webinar was to make sure that we understand and we collaborate as well. Kapil rightly put it that we will obviously keep the group alive. There's obviously a lot that I think we can take off each other. I mean, we aren't directly involved in the food business, but I'm sure that there's a lot Minnie and me can learn from this as well. And at least from an overarching perspective, I think all businesses are going to pivot. We are going to be looking at new ways of approaching things, new methods of problem solving. Things aren't going to be the same again, but I guess, again, voicing, I mean, what Vineet also rightly mentioned, everyone's going to come out on the other side stronger, like the fishes in Kapil's office, right? So that being said, thank you so much all for taking the time. We really do hope to work more with you. As everyone knows, we do the Fastfood and Cafe Convention. We hope to do the physical event at some point as soon as things get a little better, and we really do hope we see all of you at the event as well.